This morning, I'd like to invite you to pause and imagine a time when you felt you truly belonged in your life. How does it feel to rest in the presence of that memory for just a moment? What does your heart notice about what it means to belong? Perhaps, like many of us, the search for belonging has been elusive. And there's a longing in the heart to find that place, to find your people, to take refuge, to be covered in a sanctuary. Thank you. A community of compassion, care, trust, and understanding, enfolding you, a place to be vulnerable, soft, strong, and mighty, a place to give and receive, a place where shelter from the storms of life is offered generously. If it feels okay to you, I invite you to hold that memory, sink into it if you can. Perhaps discover in that memory a longing for what is yet to become in your life. My own memory of a time when I felt a deep sense of belonging takes me back a long, long time ago to a magical place called Oak Park, Illinois. We were in the wake of 9/11, and I was wrestling with an awareness that my marriage was crumbling. I was lost in confusion, chaos, and a pain of an impending divorce, and I was searching for something to help me make sense of my shattered life, something to help me pick up the pieces and create something new. At the advice of a good friend, I took myself to church for the very first time. That first Sunday, the minister shared the words that I share with you each Sunday. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. At last, I knew my broken heart had found a home, and over the next year, I got involved. I joined a chalice circle, I volunteered, I even went to coffee hour, and slowly, my heart healed. It healed in the presence of kindness and gentleness of a community that didn't pretend that life doesn't get messy, that it doesn't hurt, that we aren't all soft, earthly creatures trying to find our way. At Unity Temple, I found a place that had room for all of me, the beautiful and the broken, my hopes and dreams, my questions and my longings for a life beyond the breaking point. At Unity Temple, I discovered a place to belong and a place to become. I share this story because my experience is not unique. We just don't talk about it so much. Even as so many of us are longing for such connection, we are living inside a crisis of loneliness. I have witnessed over the years that the quest for belonging in our lives lives at the very center of what moves us into community, which calls us into connection. We are all looking for love, acceptance, affirmation, witnesses to our lives, and the deep care of friendship. At the heart of such belonging is acceptance and vulnerability. Brené Brown, who has written extensively on vulnerability, courage, and belonging, reminds us that, quote, true belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. This is loving and being loved, to be who we are with radical honesty and open-heartedness towards ourselves and the world. And I'm intrigued by what Brené Brown calls the spiritual practice of belonging to oneself. This sounds like self-acceptance, the holy work of accepting all of who we are, remembering that we are wonderfully made, our tenderness, softness, our shame, mistakes, our rage and kindness, our gifts of love and generosity, and our joy. All of it is sacred and holy, and nothing is outside the love that knows no bounds. And I wonder if in this moment, Brené Brown is also reminding us that when we can belong to ourselves, we can discover the transcendence of our true and total interdependence, a mystical acknowledgement of our cosmic connectivity. Poet Andrea Gibson sums it up perfectly. She writes, "When I am feeling what we call self-love, I feel the self fall away. And the love is not aimed at an Andrea-shaped target, but instead it is pointing everywhere, in every direction, at the whole of us, the collective, of which I am a part. In fact, only when I am experiencing this love does my sense of being separate from others reveal itself as an illusion. This feeling is the truest homecoming I have ever known. It is a boundless sense of being wholly welcomed into the arms of the universe." The imagery of love pointing in every direction and the illusion of separateness lifts, and we find that we belong to life, to each other, to the great mystery that moves through us and among us. The spiritual practice of belonging is to remember as often as we can, because it's easy to forget, that we are never alone, even when love feels far away. And this brings me to another important connection. Belonging is not static. Welcomed into the arms of the universe, we are in motion, changing, evolving, and boundless. Process theology teaches us that the divine, God, Spirit, the goodness that lives at the heart of our lives, is deeply relational, a co-creative force that is in a perpetual state of becoming and reciprocity. Thomas J. Ord talks about an open and relational theology of exchange and mutuality, one in which God, divine spirit, goodness, love are partners with creation in each moment, there is uncertainty and unpredictability. And what happens now changes what happens next. All of creation is in the process of becoming. And so it is with each of us. We are in process, and the role of a community of belonging is to love one another into being, into our becoming. I pull this image from Rainer Maria Rilke, who wrote beautifully on the transformative power of love. This is from Letters to a Young Poet. Quote, "Love is a high inducement to the individual to ripen, to become something in himself, to become world for himself and for another's sake. It is a great exacting claim upon him, something that chooses him out and calls him to vast things." Make no mistake, Unitarian Universalists we are called to vast things, to love each other into being, to create spaces and places of belonging so accepting and life-affirming that we are free to unfurl our wings into light, shine our light, and love relentlessly and fearlessly. Today, following service, we will have the opportunity fair, and this is an opportunity to imagine and celebrate who and what we might become, to notice what possibilities await us. What does our heart or our spirit long for? How might I find the life-affirming connections that nurture me on my life journey? Where might I grow in service and discover hidden talents and gifts? This opportunity fair is also a reminder that shared ministry is a practice of co-creation. We bring ourselves to the unfurling of the world and choose what comes next. At the adult spiritual growth table today, we invite you to fill out a survey. We want to better understand how we can deepen our adult spiritual growth ministries, not based on a transactional model, but rather a model that invites all of us to share in the work of creation. I hope everyone will join us by sharing their hopes and dreams. A lesson from those early days at Unity Temple was, if you have a longing on your heart, then you have a gift. My minister at Unity Temple said yes to my kind of outside the box idea at the time of leading a reading group that focused on fiction and theology. I led that group for several years, and it became, I think, the foundation to what led me to theological school. I don't know if that's a warning or not. But that's the work before us. To say yes to the ideas, to the longings of our heart, and create and build the beloved community together. Because, make no mistake, we are called to vast things, to love each other into being, to offer shelter from life's storms, and to co-create our community together, the beloved community, right here, right now. This, friends, is loving and being loved. May it be so, and blessed be.